season opener for the four-man Bobsleigh World Cup. We're at Park City, Utah on a bitterly cold night, ready for the second and deciding heat of the action as winter arrives in the Wasatch Mountains. Hello everybody, Martin Haven and John Morgan, trackside calling the action after a fascinating first heat.
Yeah, we have this is highlights from the race we just saw coming down the track. Lana Myers, Lolo Jones. That was the race that just happened here.
Yeah, a little bit of a snafu after a long day.
The crew's been under a lot of pressure here. You can see the wind still blowing.
Well, John's just run back from the finished deck as well. So after the first heat, here's how they stand. Johannes Lochner of Germany, the joint four-man world champion, leading by the massive margin of 0.02 of a second from teammate Nico Walter. Lamindine in the medals after the first heat, 400s back. But realistically, with 1/4 of a second covering nearly the top 15, in fact 2600s to top 16 sleds, there could be a lot of changes. And John, the nature of this track is that it is so close.
It was like that in the Olympics 14, 15 years ago. It's like it now. The persona of this track is that you're going to see ties and wins and losses by hundreds of seconds. Martin, 3 sleds separated by the 400ths of a second speaks for it. Lamindine, unbelievable. He's never won a medal before. He's been close.
Let's not go there, shall we? There's a lot of sleds to get down. 20 sleds go in our second heat. It was, what was it? It was in the 50s Fahrenheit yesterday evening.
There's Johannes Lochner right there. The
bitterly cold, yeah. Reigning world champion in four-man.
He started late, too, Martin. 15th guy off the hill.
Few things to think about. I think in these icy conditions, actually, track's held up really well. There's Nico Walter, one of the winners. Last time we were here was also double four-man duty. He took gold, so did Alexander Kazyanov. And Kazyanov has got to be a contender. There's Nick Polignato. He had a really good run as well. He lies in 5th position after the first heat.
He started 23rd.
Yeah. This track is quick despite the snow and the wind. Loic Kosteg made the cut, 20th out of the 24 sleds in the first heat, so he goes off first as we go 20 down to 1, last to fast, as we like to say. Bert Hefty will go second, Ivo de Bruyne third, and when we get into the serious money, we've got the Canadians lining up behind the Brit and the Germans. Top US sled after a disappointing first heat for all the American sliders is Cody Basque down in 8th spot.
He's in 8th. The other American sled, he's the 15th best start. The other American sleds had great starts. Could do anything with them.
So 20 sleds to decide the medals in the first race of 2 this weekend. The season openers for the four-man bobsled, and Loic Kosteg and his French crew wearing black armbands in memory of compatriot David Poisson, a downhill racer who died in a training crash in Canada on Monday.
Start, well, they had the 20th best start, and they were in 20th place at the end of the first run. Perspire still out, coming around that first curve. They were not settled. 496 in the first heat, 496 second run. A lot of variance in starts, as we saw in the women's competition from the first heat to the second heat. And Martin, there's been a lot of wind-affected starts up there. The wind has really been blowing up there.
This is only his 3rd time on this track. In 2013, he was 20th in the four-man race. His best World Cup race in four-man, 8th place in Koenigsee last season. Now, one of the things he's missing at the start is the speed of brakeman Roman Heinrich, who's now a driver as well. The final corner across the line, 48.6. That's 1900s quicker than his first heat. And John, if the first heat for the four-man was really windy, I think that's going to have a definite effect on this second run. It seems to be a little less gusty.
All the flags we saw were still blowing, but not like that we saw before this day started. We've had a unique situation here where we had the women's first heat, then the four-man first heat, then the women's second heat, now the four-man second heat. And they're doing this because of the fickle weather conditions we've had here all day. It's unbelievable where he's been racing from what we saw here about 5 hours ago.
Astonishing work by the track crew. Baird Hefty with his four-man sled in 19th spot, 300s ahead of Loic Costerg. And the Swiss driver was second on the ice earlier on this evening. And Hefty still owns the start record here from the 2002 Winter Games.
Well, 499 start, 300 slower. That start record and the track record are both from 2001, 2002. It's hard to believe those records have stood. But the start record almost fell in the first run here today with the Austrians, believe it or not, were only 200s off the start record.
That was astonishing. Wait to see what they can do in the second heat. It's a decent looking run for Baird Hefty, not often a four-man driver.
Silver medalist in two-man from Sochi. Needless to say, he's in the twilight of a very, very successful bobsleigh career.
One four-man win, and that dates back to La Plagne 2012, drops down the order a fraction.
He's been ordered by the Swiss Federation to finish in the top 8 in a four-man race to qualify for the four-man competition, or in the two-man also.
All right.
He didn't even qualify in the two-man competition in Placid. So it's going to be a tough year for Baird Hefty.
Yeah, it really is.
Start, well, he's one of the best starting drivers in the history of the sport. But again, he's in the twilight of his career. 4 guys getting down before that first curve, so important.
And that's pretty much a new crew this year. Jan Moulinier, Sandro Ferrari and Marco Tanner.
That's good.
Italy's, Netherlands, Ivo de Bruin. Third of our starters in this second heat in the season opener of the four-man bobsleigh. First race this weekend. We're racing four-man again tomorrow in hopefully slightly less Arctic conditions. And these guys, 13th fastest starting team, and they've got Broer van der Zijde back from the Swiss for this Olympic run-in.
Well, he was a Dutch that went to the Swiss and couldn't get citizenship. He's back here. And, you know, 13th best times shows how hard these guys have been working in, down, around that first curve. Good cohesion, 488 start. That's only 100th off. And they started last in the first heat. So this is a better ice conditions to work with. If he has the same drive down the track, he has a chance to move up. 2/10 of a lead.
2 races
Ooh,
before
good
here.
skid there. That's going to cost him. Hard to get these four-mans in a skid, but when you do, they have a mind of their own. Look at that. He's gone from 20 hundreds up to 100, all related to that skid up 6-7 combination.
And he's behind Frenchman Loic Costerg.
Wow, this is...
And he's 2 miles an hour slower. So he's going to drop to the tail of the field behind Baird Hefty. He is. Still, he stays in the top 20. He was 18th and 19th here 2 years ago on his only previous World Cup appearance.
2,500 slower. The other sleds went faster, but that skid up top, if they show that to us, you could see the sled is just skidding across the ice. Here is up top of the track, and this is a tap out of curve 1. That's not helpful. And at the next curve right here, watch the way the sled gets sideways. And that's the drift into the middle part of the curve, and then look at the coach, look at that. Yeah. Tom Delahunty, just the frustration. That was worth 2/10.
Rita Rosenstreek down there helping out with the sled. She's a former great woman for the Dutch women's program. Nick Cunningham of the USA, 4th fastest start for him and his crew. 17th at the finish, 3/10 away from the lead.
In his defense, he went 21st. Boy, to have the 4th fastest start on your home, one of your home tracks, and to finish like he did, something was up. So there's some special athletes in this sled. U.S. team's getting so deep. 4, 17.
My word, that's really quick.
Well, the one thing I noticed in this sled, these guys have been put together, and I don't think they fit into the sled yet. I don't think there's a good aerodynamic profile. If you can see any shoulders or heads back there, which we can see, that's not good for aerodynamics. And this track, although it's a short track, there's a lot of high speed, 83-mile-an-hour speeds is what we've been seeing. And hundreds of seconds determine your fate. Huge lead.
Yeah. 4600s, but it was 52. It's coming back down. We saw this in the first heat.
He's lost an eternity of time on the bottom part of the track. That could be relating to aerodynamics.
But without any mistakes, doesn't hit the wall. Across the line, 48.49. That's better than the first heat.
1700's better. Brian Scheimer looks on, but you know
how tight this is? That run in the first heat, he'd have been 6th.
Well, he went late. I didn't like what happened to him on the bottom part of the track in the first run. It was a little perplexing. I think they got some issues with aerodynamics. Can we see anybody behind him? Yeah, we can see a lot of shoulders there. He's tapping and everything. You shouldn't see those guys behind. As the competition progresses here, keep your eyes on the way. You don't see some of these four-man guys behind the driver. They're tucked in, they're aerodynamic proficient, which means they're fitted to the sled. These guys have not. This is an older U.S. sled here, too.
Look at Cunningham, though, shaking his head. He knows he made too many mistakes. Tie for 15th place after the first of our two heats in this four-man bobsleigh season opener between Latvia and Korea. And since the Latvians set the time and the Koreans only tied it, it's Yoon Jung-won who goes first.
Bobsled four-man starts. Choreography on ice. In, down. What proficiency there around the first curve. 300's better than the first run. Won didn't have a good start. He had 18th. Guy down the track in the first heat.
Oh, that's bumpy.
Yeah, he got in there almost too early on that curve. He's already 400s behind. That's relative to the start advantage that Cunningham had. Skid there like we saw earlier. His green numbers here, though. 200s.
Putting it back in.
And Cunningham lost a lot of time down here, so I got to believe this Korean sled's going to get him.
Top speed all the way down, by the way, so far for Lloyd Kosteg in his Bruno Nijong-powered sled. Yoon Jung-won in the green all the way to the line by 600.
47.
He was 400s up in the first heat, adds another 2.
Pretty good aerodynamic profile by the Koreans.
We saw Pierre Luders there, the coach. He won bronze here in the four-man in 2007-8. So Yoon Jung-won for Korea has the lead with 15 sleds to go here in Park City, the season opener in the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. Latvia's Oskars Kibamanis in 15th place off a 19th fastest start. Now, it was really gusty in the first heat of the four-man. I'd be surprised if the Latvians only produce a 19th fastest start again, unless somebody's tying their shoelaces together.
Yeah, I believe these people really got affected by a wind gust up there. These are very full, powerful athletes, usually the top 5 or 6 starting team. In, down. Look at the number 2-man weight for everybody else to get tucked in. 499 again. Not a very good start again.
200s quicker, so it wasn't wind affected.
Remember the first heat, they had a push bar out around the first curve.
Best results for Kibamanis.
Oh, he's way back.
He had a silver in bronze in Pyeongchang in the four-man and a silver in the two-man at the end of last season.
Yeah, this is this young 24-year-old that they took off the streets of Riga in 2014 as a decathlete, put him right in the front seat. And we've seen great maturity in the last year from this young athlete, but not so far in the start of these first 2 World Cups.
He was tied with 1 in the first heat, goes 2,700 slower.
Falls 3 places.
Yep.
Wow.
Well,
something wrong up there because they should have a better start than that, number 1. And number 2, they shouldn't have been 2 tenths behind up before curve 5.
Yeah.
Saw him pound the signage. Look at the start here. Cohesion. Feet coming down together.
Well, there was no slips, no major errors. They just weren't where you'd expect them.
This wasn't great, but he was already almost a quarter second down before Albert Sally.
There's Oscar's Kubermanis looking a little bit perplexed here as Yoon Jong-won continues to lead the race. Next up, Justin Olson, second of the US sleds, with Evan Weinstock, Stephen Langton and Chris Vogt behind him. Langton and Vogt both with medal-winning histories on this track, with Stephen Holcomb. Justin Olson, of course, also world champion with Holcomb.
Second best start in the first run, which was pretty unbelievable.
Start record is 4:72.
Four great athletes here in this sled. In, down, great proficiency. 4:74. Now you talk about youngest team in the field, youngest driver, oldest driver. This guy here's got the least amount of trips in a four-man sled than anybody in the field, probably less than 50. But what an athlete in the front seat. If the United States can find a way to tone his driving skills, he'll be a threat at the Olympic Games.
And Evan Weinstock is the #1 US brakeman, and the veterans Stephen Langton and Chris Vogt behind him know how to win races.
This is driving a brand new sled.
700s up, the gap over Yoon Jong-won in Korea is coming down.
He's going right to the 100.
Very close.
Either way.
And Olsen at the line, just behind.
There's the persona of the track. But hey, what if you have the fastest start time, you have the chance for the fastest for a podium finish. Like the start there was incredible. Olsen just needs trips, repetition, trips. They all know it too. Tomorrow night he's going to drive a different sled. He's going to drive the sled Cody Baskin, who's coming up, will be driving. That tap right there was worth 300-400s. Look at Brian shining. Brian, hang in there.
He's a young driver.
Hey guys, thanks for watching.
Thanks for being with us.
He knows.
Be a little straighter, you know?
Well, back to the top of the track with 13th place finisher in the first heat, Rico Peter. Peter took double bronze here in the last World Cup meeting in Park City in the four-man. So he has dropped 10 spots compared to his performance 2 years ago. And that is not where we expect to find him.
Well, decent start in the first run. 94 for Rico Peter,
but only
49. Now he could have had a little wind-affected result. The first 6-8 sleds down the track, the wind gusts at the top were ridiculous.
It was all over the place. Even so, an 89 is 1,400 slower than the fastest.
1,200s down to the Korean sled at the bottom.
And he was only 200s in front after the first heat. So he's losing time.
So I don't think he can find a way to get 1,500s back on this track. 14, he's coming back a little bit, but you know, perfect line here, baby. Yeah, he's going to lose by 7, 8, 1000s. He's 9. So he just gave up too much time at the start. The Koreans, they're all on the left. They liked it. And Wolfgang Stamper, the famous Austrian driver, their coach, looks on and knows that, Rico, you drove well, but you got beat at the start.
Well, the Koreans were in a group of 4 sleds covered by 200ths of a second.
Well, this didn't help. They're on the wrong side of the straightaway. You got to be on the left side of our screen, not the right. Now he's got to cross over to get on the take-on. You get crossover, you get on the curves terms and not your own. A lot to do with why he's 10th behind.
Yoon Jong-won of Korea leads with 12 sleds to go. A scant 500ths of a second faster than him in the first heat was Alexei Stulnev of Russia. And to put that into perspective, it takes 700ths of a second to blink your eye. So Stulnev with the tiny margin. In fact, it was, 300ths of a second. He was 5 spots ahead of one by 300ths of a second.
So many races within races here. They had a great start in the first run for them. They're 41, 7th best start. He's usually the 10th or 12th best starting team. 42, very consistent, in, down. Look at the aerodynamic profile. Let's see if we can see anybody back there. let the number 2 guys up a little bit. The guys you're really worried about are the 3 and 4 guys. That's where the air collects and exits the sled. They call that dirty air. A lot of emphasis put on the back end of these 4-mans.
This is going to be as tight as the first heat, 200s to 600s.
He was good on the bottom. Both Russian sleds were very fast on the bottom part of the track. 6 to 6. Sounded like a tap up there between 13 and 14.
3 miles an hour slower than the French sled. It's been the top speed so far, and he goes down.
Look at that, 4th best time. But look at the separation. We have a tie. He's tied with Cunningham.
Yeah.
So we have 4 sleds within 600s, 5 sleds within 9, and we've got a lot more of this to come.
And the next 4 sleds are covered by 400ths of a second.
There's no track on the planet where you have time differential like this. It's pretty fun. He's also on that right side. And remember I said we heard that sound up there. Look at the sled here. There's a jump there. We saw that in the women's race. Probably looked like he put the brakes on before the finish line.
No, the finish line is just before the bridge there, so yeah, as soon as you get bumped up in the air, that's when you hit the brakes. Benny Meyer of Austria, 4th fastest start in the first heat, came down 11th place, 100th ahead of Alexei Stulnev. He's got a slender lead over Yoon Jung-won of Korea.
Great start. And watch the cohesion and watch him get in, get down. Watch the number 2 guy wait for the 3 guy to get in. Then he loads himself down. The arms come up. 43. Slower than the first run. Meyer came out of nowhere to win the European Championships 2 seasons ago, right before the World Championships in his hometown of Innsbruck.
Started the same speed as Won, so he had 400s in hand when he sat down. That's down to 300s.
His father's one of the coaches of the team. What I like about Meyer, he's a young athlete who does a lot of work with the sleds. I think that's a lost art, is having the athletes know so much about the equipment.
123.5 is 76.5 miles an hour.
10th back. He's going to fall 3 or 4 places unless he finds some afterburner here. No. 15th, 7th. Now we look into the track deteriorating. They've had 40 women's sleds down. They've had now 34 men's sleds down. The track's starting to deteriorate.
Yep.
And the conditions of the track, 24 hours ago, it rained for 7 hours. Then the snowstorm came in. There's only so much this ice can take.
Yeah, how we've got a track at all, Lord only knows. That's thanks to the track workers. Maybe a bit of plunging temperature is just about keeping it alive. Benny Meyer drops down the order into 6th position. Yoon Jung-won leads with 10 to go. 10 to go in the season opener in the BMW IBSF 4-man Bobsleigh World Cup. Martin Haven and John Morgan, your guides. Trackside in Park City, Utah. Justin Cripps has won medals on this track as a brakeman in combination with Asilis Brown.
The next 11 sleds are separated by 1,800. Some action.
Race leader Yoon Jung-won of Korea was 600 slower than Justin Cripps in the first heat.
Cripps 300's better. Canadians, all 3 of the Canadians team. Ooh, big mistake by Cripps. I think he did that in the first run too. Tapped that wall between 3 and 4. It's hard to recover. There's a skid there.
His best 4-man result on this track, bronze in 2007, pushing Pierre Luders.
Boy, with all the mistakes, he's accelerating away.
Don't forget, he had great speed at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, there it is.
It was a wild ride in the first heat. It's wild but fast.
2 pressure points there. That cost him with the uphill section.
2500s. He's pulling away fast. That's a great run. 48.29. Where would that have left him in the first heat? In the lead is the answer. That's 700s quicker than anyone's gone today. There's nothing wrong with the track.
Well, so that throws out my theory. The track's slowing down, and then I said he made all those mistakes up top.
He was wild in the first heat, but fast. Wow.
Okay, right here, look at this. Look at that tap. skid.
How can you be leading after just that mistake alone?
Well, that's one of the worst things you can do. And then here in the finish, watch, high, comes down,
No one's
and
been
then
up
goes
there.
back up again. Then he taps in the graveyard right here. That's relative to the way he entered and exited the curve. But you know, sometimes rough is fast.
Marcellus Brown there, the veteran of bobsled sliding. So, Justin Cripps leads with 8 to go. Here's one of our four-man world champions, Francesco Friedrich from Germany.
Well, this guy won on this track last time we were here, right?
Now, Nico Walter won.
478, right. Friedrich, world champion, said, walked as the leader of the race, tied with 100th of a second at Königssee. One of the most amazing bobsled competitions we've ever seen.
Last time here, 4th place in race 1, 7th in race 2, Francesco Friedrich. High line there.
There's just no room for air.
900's up. That's halved his advantage over Cripps. He's going down at this rate.
Ooh,
Cripps was flying at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's neat and tidy. Cripps wasn't neat and tidy, but he was wild and fast. Wow.
48-42.
To the 29 of Cripps. I mean, that was an improvement on his first heat by 11 hundredths, and in the first heat of 48-42 would have left him in a medal position.
Listen, I'm perplexed about Cripps' time. He was not smooth, and he was fast.
There's not
Look at the frustration.
sound. Torsten Margis,
Look at the frustration.
not a word.
These are the world champions. Didn't have a very good late classic weekend. That didn't help. Really high up near the roof. Watch this in the finish. Look at that. Everybody's hitting that airborne spot.
Justin Cripps leads. Francesco Friedrich doesn't know where the speed has gone. Francesco Friedrich was tied with the USA's best sled in the first heat. That was Cody Basque. He's got Nate Webber, Carlo Valdez and Sam McGuffey behind him. Basque and McGuffey won their last race. That was the second two-man race in Lake Placid last weekend.
The other two U.S. teams have the second and first best start times. This team had the 15th best start time in the first run, but the best downtime. And this is the night train 2. Tomorrow night he's going to be driving Olsen's sled. I've never seen teams switch like that, but what a great opportunity for the coaches to evaluate. So they're going to need to pick up this start time.
Basque was all at sea yesterday in training, or the day before in his first race back in this sled.
Give him some credit. 489 in the first run, 481 in the second run. It could have been wind affected. Oh, big skid though, like Cripps.
Wow, can he be wild and fast as well? It's not his nature. He's normally a neat, tidy driver.
Oh, there's a bang.
300's up at the last split.
No.
Now he's in the red.
Good lines there. He's already.
Then he had 100 on Cripps, who was electric at the bottom of the track.
Now it's a question of how many spots is he going to fall.
3 spots down, but he was 4 back. He's closing a little. In 3rd place, ahead of Yun Jung-won of Korea at the line. Second.
Came back a little bit on the bottom. Cripps was electric, especially because he was so loose all the way down the track. I still don't understand that run.
48.39 was good enough for 3rd fastest in the first heat.
Cody Basque tomorrow night will drive a different sled.
Yeah.
I've never heard of him before. But at least give these guys credit. They've improved their start by 800ths. Watch them get in, get down. They should be settled before the first curve. Look at the number 2 guy waiting for everybody else. He got in there a little late.
Oh, that's Nate Webber.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's worth 2 tenths. That's a home track.
Justin Cripps, Cody Basque, Francesco Friedrich, the top 3 with 7 to go in Park City. Oskars Malbardis, 7th place after the first heat. And he was 12 hundredths of a second out of the medals. Now we're into the zone where a good run, a Justin Cripps run, could throw you into the medals.
So this World Championship team from 2015 Latvia's first ever world championship in Innsbruck. 4:76.
200s off the start, 400s off the start record. It's the second quickest we've seen today.
Now, Bardis, after that 2015 season, had back surgery. Wasn't really 100% last year, half the season.
Still coming back, he says. He and Damas Dreskins.
Olympic silver medalist in the four-man competition in Sochi. Latvia's first ever Olympic medal in bobsledding.
Gaps coming down a little. 1800s, 1400s, 800s.
Watch out if any skid here in this graveyard.
Cripps is still going to lead at the bottom, I think. He is going to lead. Justin Cripps will stay in the leader's box.
Wow.
That's a big improvement over the 48.51 first heat, but Cripps and the team are laughing as they ride their luck up the order. John, it was so insanely tight. 2600 a second covered the first 16 sleds after the first heat.
I'm still stunned about Cripps' name.
Yeah.
There's no room for error on the track. He made errors and was the fastest. Would have been the fastest time in the first run with that run.
If there were no clocks, we'd have said Cripps was about last. And as ever, travelling Latvian fans.
Well, we've still got a lot of action left here.
6 to go. Alexander Kasyanov, the first race winner 2 years ago. He and Nico Valter won a race apiece.
So we have 6 sleds to go, separated by 1400s.
With the last 2 race winners on the track here.
And Cripps has got a 500s, or this Kasyanov's got a 500s lead on Cripps. So go figure. And this Russian team, 490 in the first run, only the 16th best start. They're going to have to improve that.
They need speed.
49. Boy, he's going to have to hit a 3-run homer here to overcome Cripps in the bottom.
Well, the problem is now, if he's wild, it's not going to be fast, because only Cripps did that.
But the last time we were here, he won the race with a deficient start time, and he's only 700s down at the moment. And Cripps was rough. If there's anybody can get rid of this deficiency, he's gassing up, but he's losing more time back.
He's not ahead of the Olympic curve, and he's not.
No.
He's not getting it.
Now it's a question is, he's going to drop 4 or 5 places.
He dropped 9 at the start. Now 6 places back.
Oh boy.
Plunges down the order.
9th best time of the run. And now Cripps and team can smell a medal.
From the distance they were, you think, okay, you know, from 10th you're not going to get a medal. But the medals were only 1100ths of a second away.
Perplexed.
Kasyanov is not going to win today.
He won the last time we were here, right?
Yeah, one of 2 race winners in the last time we were here was double 4-man duty as well.
The last 4-man race was last year in Latvia and Korea. He won it too.
5 to go. Justin Cripps, the leader.
Here we go. Green light, come on, guys. Green light.
Nick Polinato is the next sled out of the blocks. In Canada, he was started really late in the run and surprised a lot of people. Boy, there looked like a lot of pressure there in curve 3.
Just seen his teammate Justin Cripps haul himself into the lead from 10th after the first heat with a loose, wild run.
1200s.
Polinato is just as loose and wild, and he's pulling away from Justin Cripps.
Now this is personal best here for Polinato, but he's down to 8. And Cripps was all over the track and fast. And I think Polinato's going to fall behind his teammate.
Even so, if he stays on his shirt tails, his best World Cup
finish ever right here.
4th in Sochi. No, he drops 3 spots. By 600ths of a second, he drops 3 spots behind his teammate.
2 spots. Cripps, Bardis, Polinato.
Yeah.
So 300ths ahead of Basque.
Down to 3rd with 4 to go.
And Polinato and Cripps at the same start times. Hey, Canadians, keep your eye on this guy. He has been improving every single race.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad.
Bishop's University football player.
4 to go. Canada leads. Canada next up. Chris Spring, Jesse Lumsden, Alex Kopax, and Olesi Smith, the new boy to the team.
4.74 in the first run. 200s off the start record. Canadians all over it. It's like the Canadians national championship here. Put your seatbelt on here.
Here we go, boys.
Let's go, Canada. Let's go.
Okay, 4.74 in the first run. See what this Canada sled can do here. 4.76.
Jesse Lumsden, Alex Kopax, the 1 and 2 starters in the Canadian lineup right now. Boy Shea Smith on the back.
Perfect line into 3-4. He wasn't perfect in the first run, but after Cripps' run, I don't know if I can predict anything. It was real high there, skid. Quite a green numbers here. 2/3 of the way down the track. 700s. This is where Cripps put the afterburners on. It's 100s. This is Cripps' race.
Yeah, Cripps is going to lead with 3 to go. Chris Spring drops behind by 400ths of a second. It'll be nearly a 10th of the line. Wild.
That's tight. Falls behind. No, he still had a powered auto. He beats Melbardes by 100. The top 5 sleds are separated by 900ths.
Canada 1, 2, 4 with 3 to go. This is a good day for Canadian 4-man bobsledding. Last time here, Chris Spring was 17th rather in the first race and 9th in the second.
And the North Americans, the US and Canadians are just dominating at the start. He got real high there and watch the skid. See the back end of the skid. And when you get real high there, you come off that curve, that doesn't set you up for the transition. Here, that's one of the weirdest. Everybody else is on the left side of the finish straight. He's on the right.
Yeah. He was properly all over the place. There's Chris Spring. Justin Cripps still has the lead. Canada 1, 2, 3 to go. And a chance of greatness perhaps here for a brand new sled for Lamin Dean, named after Nash and Dixon, the 2-man Olympic gold medalists.
From 64 in Innsbruck.
Ben Simons, Toby Alubi, and Joel Fearon are the crew with Lamin Dean.
This is history in the making here. We got a 4.79 in the first run. I thought these guys would do better.
Well, if they get a neat load and a 4.79, that'll help. 4.82.
Not impressed with him tapping out of curve 1. Lamin Dean's never won a medal.
Third in the first heat, 400ths of a second off the lead. And he was 1500ths ahead of our current leader, Justin Cripps.
No, we're supposed to play neutral here, but for the British program and what they've gone through in the last 3 months, this would be awesome for them to win a medal, but I don't know.
I don't know either. Anything in the top half dozen will be a good
he's
result.
falling a lot.
600ths of a second back is 6 spots. It's not going to be a medal today for Lamin Dean. It's still a good run.
Time of the run. He falls 5 places. Cripps has now won a medal.
10th into the medals for Justin Cripps.
And Lamin Dean, the mistake out of curve 1 probably was the most costly.
He was 14th and 8th here last time we were here. But he is going to be no worse than 8th today.
300 slower at the start didn't help their efforts. 300s at the top is 900s at the bottom. You give 900s to Dean, and he's up in 2nd place.
Now, one of the factors we need to talk about as we get to one of our race winners last time out, Nico Walter, is that this was expected to be a snow race, so lots of teams may have gone on fat runners for the snow, which now are not working here.
They show us the coach down here. They show us the camera from the top. Look at the coach. They're not going to show it, but the coach is down front looking at the wind, telling him to use up the clock. Not this time. Obviously, there's no wind.
Nico Walter, the last man to win a 4-man race on this track.
483. And riding number 2, the guy getting down last is Kevin Kuska. 482. They went better. Kevin Kushner won the Olympic gold medal here in 2002 on the back of Andre Lana's sled. Hard to believe the guy's still in competition. He's still a monster.
And Christian Poser and Eric Franke were on the winning sled here 2 years ago as well.
Disappointing season last year for Nico Valter, but last week at Lake Placid he won the two-man race, surprised a lot of people.
Was 1900s up, coming back to 1300, 700. Justin Cripps could win this race. Is Nico Valter going to catch the Canadian? Is he going to stay in front of the line? He does by 300ths of a second.
Good driving on the bottom part of the track. Look at Rennie Spies. It's so Germany's going to win the competition.
Yes, because Germany lead with Nico Valter.
Look at it's an FES sled.
Yeah, and there's a Valner sled still to come with four-man world champion Johannes Lochner.
Sepp Dostetler down there, one of the old German pilots.
Ich hab's gesehen.
A lot of camaraderie in this sport. Respect, team to team.
Johannes Lochner's crew shot out the end of the track up the concrete on his race runners, his best set of runners in the first day of training. He's on another set that he says are supposed to be the same but don't feel it. However, he still led the first heat by 200ths of a second.
Little delay here. There they go.
Mark Rademacher at 2, new to the team, with Christopher Weber and Christian Rasp on the back.
41. The other German team, about the same. See these guys in and down before the first curve? Perfectly. 480, 100 better start. And this young Bavarian, who's a world champion at a very young age. His uncle Rudy was an Olympic silver medalist at the 1992 Albertville Winter Olympics. Ooh, real high in that curve.
27 years old, has never been here before in his life. Clinging on to 400s over Nico Valter, and that's one surely. Still 400s in front. This is a Cripps run, wild and fast.
That's going to be costing
Tie for the lead.
I don't know.
He could have a tie for gold. Nico Valter or Johannes Lochner. Who's going to win? It's going to be Nico Valter who wins it.
11th best time of the run.
And he's out of the medals. Canada's Justin Cripps and Chris Spring complete the podium, but it's victory for the second time in a row here for Nico Valter of Germany.
Top 4 sleds separated by 700, including Lochner ties with a little
Top 5 by
700s.
Wow.
We told you the persona of this track.
Nico Valter, the last man to win on this track, doubles up 2 years apart, but he wins again.
That's a painful loss for Johannes Lochner right there. Look at that.
Well, the good news is he doesn't have to wait a year or 2 years. He can come back tonight and do it tomorrow night and do it, not quite tonight yet, it's only 10 p.m. 22 hours time, he can go again. That is a big win for Nico Valter. It's been a tough season last year for him in two-man and four-man. His teammates tied for the World Championships in the four-man. Nico Valter claims victory here. The German sleds finishing strongly, all 3 of them in the top 10. Nico Valter knew he had a chance, 200ths of a second off the lead in the first heat. He and the crew found one of those hundreds at the start. And then he found a couple more down the track. 48.43 run, not the fastest of the second heat, but it was enough to stay in front of Justin Cripps, who was sensational to take silver, and Chris Spring of Canada in the bronze medal position. But it is the first gold of the year for Germany and for that man, Nico Valter, as he wins the season opener and gets congratulations from Jesse Lumsden. Well, look at that, insanity. 9 sleds covered by 1500ths of a second, and the top 5, literally by the blink of an eye, 700ths of a second. And one of last year's winners, Alexander Kasyanov in 10th, 2600ths back, ahead of the rampant Yun Jung Won, who climbed the order in the second heat, as others just struggled in that midfield group. A tough first race. But Nico Walter of Germany comes out at the top of the pile. Last time we were here in Park City, it was a double four-man weekend. Alexander Kazhanov won one, Nico Walter won the other. And Walter, the second race winner, the last man to win in World Cup action on this track, is now a winner again at our next visit. We go again tomorrow night. Nico Walter, his best results last year, 2 silver medals in the World Cup and bronze in the World Championship in the four-man. He didn't win a race all season, but FES have returned with a faster, improved two-man and four-man sled. And now the Berlin manufacturer has their first win in over a season. It's been a topsy-turvy 24 hours here in terms of weather. When we left the track yesterday afternoon, it was still pretty much shirt-sleeve weather. Torrential rain overnight, about 12 hours of rain, and then at lunchtime the sleety snow came in, and that stayed till about 5 p.m. So hats off to the track workers here. They've done a stunning job all week in moderately warm conditions, and especially in the last 24 hours, to keep this Olympic track alive and in really good form. So RJ Shannon, the track manager, and all the guys who are working on the ice here, what a great job they've done. You can see now that the wind has really dropped. Those flags were at 90 degrees from the flagpoles before the start of the racing this afternoon in a bit of driving snow. Now it's actually almost a peaceful evening. For those who've had a good race, the chance to perhaps double up tomorrow. For those who had mistakes, the chance to tidy them up and come back and do it all again, but better. World Cup rankings after the first race of the four-man bobsleigh World Cup season. Nico Walter, the race winner here in Park City, leads the standings ahead of Justin Cripps and Chris Spring. And Nico Walter finished 5th in the World Cup rankings last year. Justin Cripps 10th, and Chris Spring so far down the order in 14th place. That finishing in 3rd place here must have come as a major boost to both of the Canadians. Well, they ended last year in far better form than they started, as did Nico Walter. He claims the win here, and he also leads the World Cup standings. It's always going to be a tight race. 400s covered the top 3. Nico Walter 200s off the lead in the first heat. He found enough on the track to defeat his teammate Johannes Lottler, slipping out of the medals down to 4th place. As Nico Walter clung on by the skin of his teeth to claim a 300th of a second win over Justin Cripps, who was 10th after the first heat. Little smile there from Nico Walter. Justin Cripps' team on the left. On the right-hand side, the bronze medalists from Canada, Chris Spring and his boys. Astrid Wolf handing out the trophies. As everybody aligns themselves, putting their bits and pieces in the right order. Christian Poser winning with Nico Walter, and his wife winning in the women's race as well. So a good day for all of them. Christian and Nico with a win in the two-man last weekend as well in Lake Placid. Justin Cripps and Chris Spring for Canada. Canadian sleds going very well. All 3 of them in the top half dozen. 2 German sleds and Oskar Melbardis Latvian sled in the top 6. There's the podium though from the first four-man race of the season. We go again tomorrow for race 2 here in Park City. Join us then for all the action. Meanwhile, our great thanks go to you for joining us, to the track crew for somehow producing 4 races today, and to our TV guys. They've been out on the ice for the last 5 hours, frozen to the bone. Boys, come back in. Job well done all round. We'll see you tomorrow. For everybody, including John Morgan and Martin Haven, bye for now.